here we go. Hour number 2 and lots to do. I'm just like a poet over here now. Lots to do this afternoon. We'll get to your phone calls here in just a little bit too. 545 if you want to get on the radio show. We've still got a lot to update you on with situations going on in Iran and in Congress. And man, it's a great day to be alive. I'm telling you, things are changing. And the exact right people are nervous about it. I'm telling you, the exact right people are freaking out. And you can see it all over Washington today. Here's a sound clip. I'm going to go back to the Iran situation, which is just amazing. Where today there was a security hearing, and it was largely centered around national threats, international threats, the Iran situation. Not to also dismiss the fact that Trump is arriving, has gone to a dignified transfer ceremony today with the wounded and people that died in that airline crash. Well, the KC-45 crash from the 117th last week, where we lost those airmen and people involved, and of course the folks that were deployed out of Alabama. He is going to that ceremony right now, and it's amazing. And I hope he attends all of them, because no president, I don't think any president, even presidents that I disagreed with, want to really honestly send these kids off to war. And even in an accident, even when it's not hostile fire or unfriendly fire, it's a tragedy. And but it's an honor for them to go and support those families whose people signed up to do this, know what they were fighting for. And despite some even commentary from some left-wing lunatics here in the United States, here in Alabama, actually, that these people died for nothing. They did not. They signed up to put that patch on their sleeve like everybody before them. They're standing on the shoulders of giants. Their nation called. They were doing their duty, and whether it was an accident or whether they were shot, they lived honorable lives and died an honorable death, and no one can take that away from them. But then on the ground, in Iran right now, and this is just coming across right when I just gave that long speech and analysis, that we're getting to that pivot point where now the threat level has become acceptable for the Iranian citizens to start fighting back on the ground, which they're preparing and want to do. We get this clip that's just been purported to come from the Middle East. It seems authentic. I'm seeing it posted quite a bit from sources that I trust. And here's the best way I can describe it. I'm going to play you the sound without having had a long chance to screen it first, because most of it's in Farsi anyway, and we wouldn't know what kind of words they were using here on the air. But what's being described in this clip is that locals are going by these Iranian Guard checkpoints that are in these neighborhoods. I just described how the people on the street have got to feel secure that they can go out and take their government. They got to be able to get out there without getting shot. They were getting slaughtered and begging for help. We came to the rescue with those airplanes, and now they've got a chance to get in the streets and take their country back. Well, they need space to do that. It seems as if, just as I was predicting last hour, that time has starting to come. This video shows these folks driving by the IRGC checkpoints and opening fire, drive-by style, on these Guard officials. Now, this is street fighting by the Iranian people against their captors in the regime. And they're starting to have more and more of the IRGC officials strip their uniforms off, just like we were talking about the day this war started, and quit those posts, because they're getting confrontation now, not only from the air, from the United States, and of course Israel. Their government's been wiped out. Their government has no military. Their communications are weak. Their energy supplies are being disrupted. Blackouts are starting to happen, and now the people are starting to fight back in the streets. I guess if you could put it this way, the resistance to the regime is coming from the bottom now. They're getting it from the top, from the skies, and now it's coming from the streets of Iran. Here's what it sounded like on one of those drive-bys where these people took what I think are automatic weapons based on the video that I just watched, and fired on one of those checkpoints, and the IRGC's on the run. So here, they're in. Yeah, that's automatic. That's not American boots on the ground. Those are Iranian citizens that somehow have now gotten their hands on automatic weapons, and they're fighting back against their oppressors. It will not take long for them to win this. There'll be more casualties, but it tells you on the ground they're feeling. I'll play that for you one more time. I know it's kind of loud and obnoxious sounding, but it paints a picture as they drive by what looks like kind of a gas station in a neighborhood. And they fire out the window at one of the guard checkpoints, and you can see those guard guys just throw their guns down and run. There'll be more and more video like that. I predicted it last hour. It'd be 5 to 10 days from now, but it looks like some of that. It's two things, and we got to be smart about this. It's not just that this is finally starting to happen. We don't know how much of this has been happening because there's been a complete blackout in the country. We can't get information out of there as well, and they can't get information into there as well. And when the people that are hiding out in these apartments at our request, the United States has said, hunker down, shelter in place, do what you can. There's going to be a lot of bombing. We're going to take care of this threat from the air. And there'll be a time when you're asked to get back in the streets, which they were before all of this happened. Somebody tried to make a point today somewhere I read. They were trying to describe how is this different than Iraq. We weren't good at nation building in Iraq. The people in Iraq weren't able to take control of their own country. They didn't know what to do. Man, it's hard to fix people's poor education in one explanation if they don't know the history of these two countries. So it's a lot to try to explain to somebody that just doesn't know. And I'm not going to say they're stupid. They just are not well versed on the differences in these two nations. And the people in Iraq has been a country and not a country. It's been territorial. It used to be in pieces, and then it was sort of carved together. They had a dictator that kept his thumb on them for decades, and it's very different than these Persians from their part of the world. These Persians that have a history and an identity. Some of them are old enough to remember when they were free. They were very Western to begin with, and they've been pushing back against this regime before America even had a president bold enough to come to their rescue. They've been yearning for this. We have a people group that is organized. They've got exiles all over the world that want to go home and restructure the government. They are willing to fight and have proven that when they were not even armed and got into the streets to defend themselves prior to our coming with the airplanes again. And there you have a completely different dynamic, a completely different set of people that can do this job if given the chance to be free. And I've got a lot of confidence in them. And I think it's a completely different situation. You've got educated people versus huge illiteracy in Iraq, different geographical region of the world. Even though they're neighbors, they're very, very different countries and very, very different situations. And it's starting to happen, it looks like, this afternoon. And that, I will warn you, it'll get more ugly before it gets better. The images that come out of there, the IRGC will still go down fighting their own people. They're still flailing around trying to threaten the Strait of Hormuz. They're still doing all these things, but it's coming apart on them super fast right now. And this is that wave. Again, if you think about it logically, I went through a long explanation last hour about this. Yeah, let me see the best way I can describe this. When I attack a problem personally, I don't care what it is, some project at home, some mess I've got to clean up, something, you work big to small. You do the big stuff first. You tackle the biggest, most difficult parts, and then slowly it gets easier and easier to do the job. You compartmentalize yourself and focus on the big task, and that's exactly what we've done. The United States military is the only fighting force in the world that could have moved in with this kind of speed and lethality and taken out their whole infrastructure in a matter of hours. The biggest stuff was done in about 4 days. And in some ways, I believe our Department of Defense has become a victim of its own success because expectations were changed. People think it's push button video game stuff, and that somehow because we can go in and wipe out all their Chinese radars and wipe out their airplanes and take out their whole Air Force and eventually take out their whole Navy, that everything should be fine now. There are stages to it. So the big military threat, the nuclear threat, the missile threat, that's almost completely gone. It's not completely gone, but we're 90+% there based on some of the counts and the estimates of what they had buried underground. But now you've got to get down to the people portion of this thing, and that's starting to happen. They're feeling that they can take this on the ground, and then it's in the hands of the Iranian people. They don't need us after that. When they get control, they don't need the United States military. We're back home. We're focused on the next situation in the world, and I think that's where we are. Man, I didn't know we'd get off in that direction, but it just so happened that this kind of stuff is starting to come through. Man, I got other things to talk about too. 545-9950. If you want to get on the show tonight, bring it. Lonnie's Furniture Company is next up. This is just such a wonderful furniture store. And I know in the springtime, I am looking around everywhere in my house at projects I need to do. Spring just makes us want to, we call it spring cleaning or sprucing up. It's like you're getting ready for summer. It's a whole new season of the year. And I'm just making a list, and I'm going to hit all that this weekend. And one of those things for some people is changing the way everything looks and feels inside your home. If you're ready to freshen up your home with furniture that's going to be beautiful and going to last, and it's going to be affordable, go see them at Lonnie's. Whether it's outside your home with this Green Country Furniture line, or everything for the inside of the home, from accessories to rugs to living rooms, dining rooms, they've got the brands at prices you're going to respect, quality that's just unsurpassed, and a whole lot of it. I mean, it's an acre-sized building. I'm rounding off a little bit, to be fair, just under an acre of selection for you to look at. And they've got even more in their massive, very well-staged warehousing operation. So say you walk in there and you see a recliner you like, but you wish they had it in a little different color. It may be on the ground here in Alabama already in their warehouse, and or they might be able to custom order it for you. So you can custom design furniture there. They've got whole areas of the store where you can design your own furniture with Bassett and some of the other brands with Stressless and those kind of high-end products. Y'all go see them. And by the way, these are just the nicest people in the furniture business. Folks that love what they do, small town attitude, no pressure. Honey, make yourself at home is what they're going to tell you. You can sit there and think about it as long as you need, no pressure whatsoever. Or they'll go right with you if you need their advice and walk you all the way through the store. It's just what you need. Right there in little bitty Kimberly, Alabama, right off I-65 in North Jefferson County, and worth the drive for every one of y'all. Lonnie'sFurnitureCompany.com, Lonnie'sFurnitureCompany.com. All right, let's keep going. Alabama Bass bringing you the show tonight. Man, I just appreciate what they're able to do for folks. If you've ever been through some immobility, and we all go through things in life, if you've ever been in a situation where you couldn't do it like you used to do it, getting in the shower can be really, really difficult if you lose some of your ability to move around or your stability. And it's, I mean, that just feels bad because that's the one time of the day where you get a little peace and a little privacy and get your thoughts together. You know what I mean? And you get yourself clean and refreshed. And there's probably somebody in your life that may be going through this because of age or other stuff. Alabama Bass has a very unique product, line of products, really, to help improve that situation when it comes to your bathroom. The bathroom, very slippery, very dangerous, second leading cause of injuries in the home. It's that in the kitchen. They rival each other. Kitchens, it's generally fires and sometimes other accidents. But in the bathroom, it's slip and fall. Good old classic slip and fall. Y'all reach out to the whole team over there. They've been in business. It's a family business, 2 generations. It's been 40 years, and those guys will take care of you. Mike and Dewey and Sandra and Jill and John and the whole team. Boy, there's just more people there. Their installers love what they do. They've got some installers that have worked for them for a couple of decades, building those units and coming out and putting them into place. One of my favorite parts, in addition to the low pressure and the best prices, a better product than some of the corporate schmucks that are in their space now. Their product's better. The prices are better. There's no pressure. And they do it in 2 days. You know, I've heard some ads from companies that say, well, come out and do it in 1 day. You can't do it in 1 day. That's not honest. Not if you're not going to come back and check the fittings. You need to let everything cure and seal. And so they do it the right way at Alabama Bass. So they tell you 2 days. The first day's the install. The second day's the come back and pressure test everything, make sure it's good. You got your bathroom back, and then it's beautiful. Floor to ceiling, glass, and they've got different models, of course, and slip-proof surfaces and shelving and handles and those things to make you feel better getting in and out of there. It's alabamabass.com, alabamabass.com. All right, let's do some good old raw politics real quick as we look at other stuff today. CNN's got this pollster guy, and he's like the only thing on that network worth watching. That, I mean, I don't watch them, but I see their clips. By the way, they had some ratings come out the other day, and they don't have, there's a couple periods in their prime time for CNN where they don't have an audience big enough to fill up Bryant-Denny Stadium. I'm serious. Or Neyland Stadium, or maybe even Jordan-Hare. Their numbers at 18 to 54, the younger crowd, they just barely know CNN exists. It's a shame what they've done to this network. But every now and then they do some things that are funny or honest or at least entertaining. So this pollster guy they get on all the time that runs through their continuous polling, you know, I know it's to generate headlines. He had a doozy today when he talked about MAGA, the MAGA base as is identified in this poll, and their support for Trump. So there's all different polling levels, general popularity, Republican support for the war or not, all the other issues that get polled. But this is sort of an ideological poll to poll that wing of the Republican Party. And there's always been these 2 wings. There's always been more of a blue-collar wing and a country club wing. Nowadays, we call the more blue-collar everyman wing MAGA. And so he did this little bit about MAGA and whether or not how they're supporting the president, because there was all this false narrative stuff in the last few days with that jackass that quit in a very dramatic fashion over his own politics the other day. And then, of course, in the periphery of all this are all these so-called influencers that are feuding with each other. They got this East Coast, West Coast thing going. I don't even know, between all these pundits and Tucker and Candace and Megyn Kelly and all them yapping at each other every day. And it's just getting tiresome. So what is that doing? The narrative was the MAGA base is fracturing, coalition's falling apart. Hallelujah. These knuckle draggers are going to go back to their caves. They don't support the president anymore. They're pissed about the war. No, not so much. Here's what the CNN guy that does their polling had to say.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you look at the polling data and there are numbers that just jump off the screen at you, and this is one of those. Because just take a look here. MAGA GOP view of Trump. Approve 100%. 100%. If you are a member of MAGA and the GOP, You approve of Donald John Trump. 0% say that they disapprove. You don't have to be a mathematical genius to know you can't go higher than 100%. He is the 1972 Miami Dolphins. Now, there are some Republicans who disapprove of Donald John Trump, but they are not members of the Make America Great Again movement. The bottom line is this: if you are a member of MAGA, you approve of Donald Trump.
It's interesting, though, because there have been a couple prominent people who have sort of come out online, and they're very mad about this war with Iran because he promised no new wars. Is there any sign that people might be leaving MAGA relative to 2024?
This big old girl's like,
Yeah,
give me some good news.
You know, I've said it before, and, you know, the theme of this segment is Tucker Carlson be darned. And when we look at the numbers, I mean, I've heard some people say, oh, you know what, when you look at those MAGA numbers, it doesn't account for those who might have left MAGA. But take a look here. Americans who identify as MAGA, in November of 2024, it was 28% of Americans. Now it's basically the same. If anything, it's slightly higher at 30%. The bottom line is this: the MAGA base within the GOP is not shrinking. It's the same size. If anything, it is slightly larger than it was back in 2024 when, of course, Donald Trump won a second term. So that 100% that Donald Trump has approval among MAGA GOP, that is not an artifact of MAGA shrinking. It's just an indication of how strong Donald Trump's grip is on that MAGA base.
That's why all these candidates are wrapping themselves in Trump. Their pollsters are telling them the same thing. When you see campaign messaging, that came from their polling research. I promise you that. That came from their the people they hired to tell them how to frame themselves, how to define themselves, and every one of them. Even John Cornyn is drooling over Trump now, and this guy's been a backstabber from the beginning. And it's because sometimes, and it's rare for the Republican side, you get a coalition that is loud enough and strong enough and believes and understands what they're about, and they stick together. And this is the longest I've ever seen this iteration of people stay together and support their guy. It's why I would submit to you right now, it's why the Senate is pretending to debate the SAVE Act right now. They're scared to death of this base. This base has been loud and insistent that they try to get it passed. So they're going to go through the motions, but what do they really want? They just want you to go away. They want you to shut up. They want you MAGA people to just do like the Tea Party and start fighting with each other and disintegrate. But this ideology has been there. It's been there since I was a kid. In Reagan days, for years, it was the Christian Coalition and some labor groups, believe it or not, that supported Reagan, that stood by Reagan and got him through 8 years of success. And then they will wane from time to time. The other movement in the early 2000s was the Tea Party. That was a reaction to Obama's bizarreness, and they hung together for a while, but they were so disparate, they weren't really effective. And MAGA doesn't even have an organization. There's one leader, it's the president, and it's because one thing, the dude's fighting. He's fighting and he's sticking up for the country. Everybody else is wanting the country to go to hell. All his political opponents do not care. They care about themselves and their institutions and their filibuster rules and their money grabs and the stuff that they're all doing, especially the Democrats who are on a path of destruction. This one guy has not wavered in doing right by this country, making us stronger and more prosperous and doing it the way he thinks he should do it. And they're with him 100%. You'll never see that in another poll. Kim Jong-un yesterday only got 99.3%. His own base isn't even 100%. That's a strong number, and that guy cracks me up. He kind of comes through the TV screen. Somebody ought to hire him so he can get a real job. Back here in just a minute, Leland Live, Talk 99.5. All right, Distinctive Pools bringing you the show tonight. If you've been thinking about a pool project, you're never going to do it. You're never going to do it unless you take that first step, and that first step ought to be to call Distinctive Pools and let them start working with you. Because you got to have a design. You got to figure out what it costs and how it ought to look. Get their advice. They'll help you lay it out so it fits both your home and your property and just looks like it belongs there. That's one of the biggest mistakes from my real estate business that I see of people that do these projects on the cheap, or they look like they're just kind of slapped on the end of the house. They don't really fit. Distinctive will build it like it's been there the whole time, like it was always thought to be there. That flows, that looks good when you're entertaining. Grandkids don't care. They just want to splash anyway. Y'all look at Distinctive Pools if it's a pool project that you're planning on doing this spring and summer. It's about to be swimming season. It's here before you know it. You still got time to start digging and get that work done and still have plenty of summer to enjoy it in that way. If you built an outdoor facility, sort of an outdoor living or outdoor kitchen, which they also do at Distinctive Pools with their hardscape expertise, you can use that thing all year. You get the football season, and when the fall leaves start falling, now you're outside with your fireplace, and here's your pool over here, providing that little glow. How beautiful. Talk to Distinctive Pools and let them help you work this out. DistinctivePools.com. They've got financing and everything you need. Gary Levesque's had 40-plus years in this business. He knows what he's doing, and it'll be done right. DistinctivePools.com, DistinctivePools.com. All right, I tell you what, let's hear this clip. I want to get our buddy Henry. We'll start opening up the phone calls this afternoon. But apparently, look, so the Senate is staging this Save America Act debate, and they're not going to pass it. Unless they get rid of the filibuster, they will never have the votes. We can all do the math. They're not getting rid of the filibuster, so this is all show. It just is. You could see how testy Thune was about it. They want to try to get some street cred for putting up a fight and then get this off their plate so they can do everything else. And I'm telling you, this MAGA base, we just played you the clip of how much MAGA supports the president. Those are the people that are not going to be fired up to vote for people with an R next to a name just because there's an R next to their name. Those are the people that are sick of the false choice of the only thing Republicans have to offer to them is that they're not Democrats. They'll demonize the Democrats, and deservedly so, for all their insidious plans and ideas that would undermine this country. And the best thing you can say about them is that they'll hold on to a seat to keep a Democrat from filling it. They don't fix anything. I'm trying to come up with a good metaphor. It's like you got an arsonist, that would be the Democrats. You got a house we're trying to protect. The arsonist had started some fires. To fight the fire, you need some firefighters, right? You say, okay, Republicans, we're going to trust you to deal with this arsonist. We got to fix the damage. We got to stop the damage. And the Republicans just stand there and want to describe the fire to you. They don't actually pick up a hose and put the damn thing out. They just tell you how bad it is. Oh man, these Democrats, look at this fire they set. This thing's going to burn this country to the ground if we don't do something about it. And if you just keep electing for us, we'll keep telling you how bad this fire. We're exhausted with that. We want results. This SAVE Act debate is not results. Now, another thing that's going on with the parallel track in the Senate is the shutdown where the Democrats, this is on them. They're putting their pettiness over Homeland Security. They're holding the whole damn country hostage during a time of war and a high terror threat. You got these crazy lines. You got thousands of TSA agents that aren't showing up for work, 3, 4, 5 hour lines at the airports. It's just crazy. And it's punishing the American people. It's punishing these poor workers that haven't had a check in, I think, 70-something days. It's not fair to them. They come to work. The ones that do work, we should reward them for their work or have a backup system. They're just being irresponsible. So there was just a move to pay them for 2 weeks. To say, look, forget all the social, let's just extend their pay for 2 weeks while we continue to debate this. And it got blocked by that jackass over in Georgia, Warnock. Let's take a listen to this.
Modify his request. So the Senate proceed immediately to consideration of calendar number 156 HR 4553, which is a 2-week continuing resolution for Homeland Security. I ask that Senator Warnock would substitute his amendment number 4353 to be considered and agreed to. The bill be amended, be considered, read a third time, passed. The motions to reconsider be considered, made, laid upon the table.
Does the senator so modify his request?
I object.
Objection is heard to the modification. Is there objection to the original request?
Painfully so, Mr. President, I do object.
Mr. President?
The objection is heard. Senator from Georgia.
Let me be very clear.
Well, he's going to be clear.
Our differences here are differences in...
It goes on, and he's what a jackass. So, in the old days when the Senate was functional, it hadn't been that long ago. I heard somebody say it today. Some of us are old enough to remember when it functioned. They all disagreed, but they functioned, right? You would do the right thing and go behind the scenes and work this stuff out, but keep them paid. I mean, do the decent thing and keep them paid. Just be a human being about it. They can't find it in themselves to do this. The only thing they have right now is disruption and destruction. It's all that party is about right now, is throwing themselves in front of anything they can to put up a fight and be obstructionist and be damned the collateral damage from it. Because, again, they're out of power in Washington. They don't control either chamber. They don't control the Supreme Court. Their prospects for the presidency look dim, even though structurally they've got an edge in the House races coming up. And I do believe the Democrats, because of the Republicans' failure in the Senate, will be able to cheat their way to a majority in the midterm elections. I really believe that. But here they are. They just can't do the decent thing and just get it worked out. I guarantee you the Republicans, they know the Republicans will cave. They always cave. They'll cave. Get behind the scenes and work it out. Warnock stood there and continued to object to a modest 2-week fix so there can be some relief. The reason they can't let the relief happen is because they need maximum pain to think they're going to get something done with their hostage situation. It failed on them when they were trying to save Obamacare. You remember that? They were trying to save Obamacare for illegal immigrants, shut the whole government down. This is a partial shutdown. We got through that. They had to fall back and give up. Then they held on to this little nugget, and they're clinging to it and embarrassing themselves. But here's what they know. Here's what the Democrats know. Most American people aren't following this closely enough to know who's at fault. They'll just blame everybody. So Republicans will catch their share of the blame for this as well. And in some ways, I could say, yeah, because the Republicans could get rid of the filibuster and run them over and get the government funded and move on. But they won't, because they got to keep the country club rules. They got to keep the dress code. All right, let's go to the phones. Two of our regulars, Henry and Bob. Let's get Henry first. Henry, what's on your mind, man?
Hey, Leland. And the lady in waiting, who's now the lady in charge, John Thune, he wants desperately to have Schumer's job. And so don't expect much out of it. I'm afraid we'll lose the Senate with John Thune, because that's what he wants. He doesn't want the responsibility of being who he is now.
No,
he
that's
wants
too
it
hard.
gone. He's just a jerk. He's always been that way. He always, every time the turtle was ever around, Thune was always there with his nose in his butt. He's always sniffing his way through to the job he has today. And I didn't even want to get on that, but, it's so desperately ridiculous that we have I'm sure he knows Thune knows all the ways that the turtle knew to get things done, and he won't do it. So if they lose the Senate, it's what they want. It would be their main pride. I'm getting off on the wrong thing. I wanted to talk about Iran. Leland, when a little 4'11" little tyrant showed up in Lebanon, we were told to sail as fast as we could over there. We had 214 Americans that were caught up in the embassy over there, and we had to get them out of there. And it was the worst experience I ever had, because they wouldn't let us arm ourselves to go down the streets of Lebanon, which sickened me to have rocks thrown. And I didn't want to get off there either. But can you imagine? I will view this whole thing as a success if Persia takes her name back and she begins to involve herself in the world again, and that we get rid of this ancient Jimmy Carter Middle East that I've just detested for the entire time, because I saw what he was doing, and he just ruined the Middle East for us. In fact, you can blame 9/11 on him, Leland. You can put it on his shoulders, but the Democrats won't allow you to do it. The fact is, think about this: the very doctor that killed Anwar Sadat eventually became the doctor for who planned the 9/11, and who let him out of jail. Well, the Egyptians did, but Carter could have taken this and taken. It wouldn't have happened under Trump. That's for sure. Trump would have taken care of it. It would have never happened, and no Americans would have kept on dying. And in 77, in 76, we had to do the Lebanon thing. In 77, we had to ship over that. We couldn't go in the warm waters because we had boiler systems to make us go in the water. So we had to have a temperature of the water below 78 degrees, and that's hard to do in the Persian waters in the Gulf over there. Anyway, I'm getting off again.
Well, look, Henry, let me say this. You just gave me a line. In my mind, it just formed while you were talking about that, because if you put it in perspective, weakness got us into this situation with Iran. It was Jimmy Carter's weakness. Now, I respected the man as a person. I actually got to know him in life, but he was weak. He was weak, and everybody in those days know that. And it's going to be strength.
I'm sorry.
Let me finish the line.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Weakness got us into it. It's going to take bold strength to get us out of this quagmire. And it's not just us, it's the whole world with this regime. And all these years later, we get to see it come to fruition. All right, Henry, the floor is yours. Go, man.
You saw how Europe is acting. That's exactly why we're in trouble and why we needed what we have right now, giving them a kick in the ass. And that's what they needed, a good, swift kick. Anyway, Carter messed up so bad. Excuse me.
Yep.
He messed up things so bad that when they declared war on us, I don't think Americans know this, but they said, if you don't give us back the Shah, and we used the lame excuse he was dying of cancer. And remember all this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, he's dying of cancer. We're not going to, we want to cut off his head. Send him back. If he's going to die of cancer, why are you worried? We'll just cut off his head and save you a bunch of health care costs. And Carter denied him to do that. Didn't stick up in any other way. And so they said, well, that's fine. We're going to destroy America. We'll declare war on you if you don't send them back now. And we took that. And every time, Cobalt Towers, I said, that's war, guys. Why aren't we doing anything? We got to give them an answer. Finally, everybody keeps saying 47 years? It was more than that. It was probably 49. Anyway.
Look, Henry, the Marine Barracks, Khobar Towers, the USS Cole, October 7th, the Iran hostages. We can keep going. 660 American soldiers killed on the battlefield from Iran's training that they sent in to those Quds forces and those other people that they went in and killed our soldiers. They weren't even in that war. We didn't go to war with Iran. Iran got on the battlefield, strung everything out, and previous administrations just allowed them to be a menace. Obama gave them their drone program and flew them pallets of cash. They're getting dealt with, and they're just about out of business. In fact, I think they're already out of business.
Remember who they are. Remember this, anybody listening. Remember who these people are. And the Revolutionary Guard has a payback coming to them big time, especially if 30,000 in the street died from these people. They need to have their hands cut off. They'll never handle another weapon. Remember who the Iranian mullahs and all these creatures of the dark are. When they were fighting the Iran-Iraq war to clear the minefields, they sent in 9-year-old girls and upward to clear the minefields. Gave them a little plastic key, painted gold, and said, "This is your key to heaven. Just go out there towards the Iraqi border, clear the minefield for the men to fight." Oh, God.
Henry,
remember who these people are.
Your memory is long and it's thorough, and I appreciate your call tonight. We got to run.
Yeah, I've been waiting a long time.
Oh, a lot of us have, yeah. You got to be of a certain age to have lived through that and understand how evil this regime has been. Bob, I'm going to give you a word, and then we got to get this break in here. Bob, what's up, buddy?
Real quick on the NATO thing and the Straits of Hormuz. What everybody forgets is most of the NATO nations have been inundated with Muslims over the last 20 years to where they're running their governments now.
Yeah, they're afraid of them.
They're afraid of them. They don't want this stuff going on at home with the terrorist acts and that sort of thing. And that's part of the reason that NATO is just dragging their feet. And I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. That was my 2 cents, brother. Have a blessed day.
That's the way to do it, Bob. Quick and dirty. All right, Gutter Cap. Let's talk about your house again for a minute. We got so many good sponsors here on the show that can help you with your home. And gutters are a big deal. If you've got gutters, some houses are designed without them, but most houses that have them, they have a specific job. Their job is to move a lot of water during those heavy rainstorms like what we just had away from your foundation. You get it off the roof so it doesn't pile up around your foundation and cause other trouble, and move it away from your house. It's very, very important that they function, that they're clear, and they work. The big fault with traditional gutters that aren't covered properly, not just covered with a cheap product, but properly covered, is they clog up. They quit working. Then that weight sits there. In the summertime, mosquitoes make sweet, sweet little mosquito baby love in your gutters and cause all problems with that. It's just a mess. Gutter Cap fixes all of it. Chris and his team been in business over 25 years, A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, and they have the best product in the industry, period. It's all aluminum, one piece. They come out and make it on site to fit your home, and they back it. They back it with all kind of warranties, and of course, that's why they patented the product. And right now, they're running 45% off their retail price. I'd take advantage of it. Let them come straighten out your gutters, make sure everything's clear and clean and flowing. Put their system on it, and then you don't think about it anymore. It's done. Your house is protected, and you're not having to deal with it, fool with it, get on a ladder, or pay somebody else to do it. It's guttercapbirmingham.com. You want to reach out to them. Gutter Cap. Don't get them confused. If you type in the wrong thing, you're going to wind up with the wrong people. This is guttercapbirmingham.com. 823-2212 is the phone number. Guttercapbirmingham.com. Back here in just a minute. Maybe my favorite song you play, AJ, the Eat Worm song. I love that song. Alan and company bring you the show tonight. What a beautiful place to go do some gift giving if you've got somebody in your life this year. For all of the occasions that are coming up, man, here comes Easter. Some people do Easter gifts and Mother's Day gifts and graduation gifts. For the graduates, you know, they do laser etching at Allen and Company so they can custom design something with that graduation date on it. Just take them whatever. They can etch anything and get something made, something specific, something memorable at Allen and Company. I believe once you get to know the Thompson family, you'll just want to go there time and time again. Even for your routine maintenance, your cleanings and repairs, things do happen. You wear this stuff, it goes where you go, and you break it, and stones get loose and go missing, and you need to keep that stuff shined up and cleaned up and repaired. They'll handle it for you, and everything you take in there stays there. They don't have to ship it off. It stays in Alan's vault, and he gets it right back with you. His goal is to turn it around in a week. I guess it depends on, you know, whether he can track those stones down or whatever it is he needs to do. But y'all talk to Alan and go meet the Thompsons and let them take their time with you and help you out and get something beautiful at Allen and Company. Let me get this story in there. I saw this pop up yesterday, and it's getting now national attention, and it connects here to Alabama. There is a University of Alabama student missing in Spain. His name is Jimmy Gracie. His fraternity has put a statement out this afternoon. Let me try to give you what I remember about the details. He was out with people he had met on spring break in Barcelona, 3 a.m, but that's really not unusual. As many of you remember, I had a chance. That was our first stop last year. I did a trip over to that part of the world, and our first stop was Barcelona. I'd never been there. It's a cool city. It really is. I'll say this. I never once, anywhere I went in that city, felt threatened. It's not crime-ridden. It's safer than most cities here in the United States. Very walkable. I mean, I think one day we walked almost 10 miles, and one day just all over the city enjoying what they have to offer. And so this young man was out with all the young people, very vibrant nightlife too. And I can see a kid that age being out, but he's been missing since 3 a.m. There's some new details. He's a University of Alabama student, but like a lot of students over there, he's from Illinois. He's from another state. But when you go to school here, you're connected to us now. And so his fraternity, people that may even be listening now, they're all throwing up prayers for him. And so they put out a rather lengthy statement just talking about what a good person he was and mentoring young people. And he was their chaplain there, I think, at their fraternity, and seemed like a bright young man. I hope he's okay. Sometimes young people just do things and don't realize people are going to be looking for him. They say it's out of his character to just not check in. He was last seen with an American that he had met there at this place he was at that morning. So we'll continue to follow this, and prayers up that the family can get this young man back. Back here in just a minute.